Republicans now pushing the president to provide more answers on what's happening in Libya and the rest of the Arab world. And this time tomorrow, President Obama will have the world stage to himself addressing the United Nations General Assembly. So what does he need to say at the UN? Republican Senator John Barrasso out of Wyoming, member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee with me now. And sir, good morning to you.
Thanks
Read your piece that's at Politico today. You say the president first must acknowledge that the war against terrorism is not over. Why is that even an issue?
Well, because earlier this year, Bill, the president said that one of his most proud achievements was the fact that he's restored the respect for America around the world. And yet we see these very tragic events that have been happening in the Middle East. We know that this is actually part of the war on terror. The president wanted to blame it on a poorly put together video. That's not it. This is something that was planned, premeditated to occur on September 11th. And the president shouldn't be claiming that the American people are so naive that they would actually believe this was because of a video.
The second
thing
thing you want to hear is clarifying where the United States stands with the country of Israel. I heard you on another program earlier today saying that this is the rockiest relationship with Israel that you can remember.
Well,
ever?
It is between the United States and Israel. In maybe 30 years, it's the rockiest relationship. Look, the president says to the people of Israel, we have your back. I think that the president needs to tell the world what that actually means. You know, when the president came into office, he said that he was going to open relations and discussions with Iran. Iran is closer today to having a nuclear weapon than ever before. They may only be months away. And the people in Israel and the people in America, as well as all around the world, need to know what the president actually means when he says we have your back.
Your third point, and this is broad-reaching, explain exactly what your foreign policy is.
Yeah, the president.
Now, why is that not clear almost 4 years into this?
Because the president talked about pressing a reset button with Russia, and now what we know has happened with Russia is they've been blocking us across the continent, specifically at the United Nations, with sanctions against Syria and what is happening there with just the tragic day-by-day carnage that is happening in the streets of Syria, and Russia continues to block that. We have sanctions against Iran. We know that China is funneling money to Iran. The president talked about a new day with the Muslim world because of his background, yet we've seen nothing to that effect, and I think actually relations are worse now than they were when he became president. So I know what the president promised 4 years ago. Those are not things that we can believe. They're not what has happened. And then the tragedy in Libya just 2 weeks ago is something that has infuriated people all across the United States.
Understood. Let me get back to Libya in a moment, because I know you mentioned your first answer in that one too. But why does it even matter what is spoken at the UN?
Well, it matters because people around the world listen, and the president is the commander-in-chief. His words actually carry weight. The American people and people everywhere listen to him, and we need to know where America stands, what our foreign policy actually is. When the president goes and visits with the president of Russia and says, just wait till I get reelected where I'll have more flexibility, I think the American people have a right to know before the election what the implications of that are.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to hear more apologies about the video and the 70 grand we spent in Pakistan to air commercials last week apologizing for a video that the government had nothing to do with. When ultimately do we hold those responsible and accountable in Libya for the killing of our U.S. ambassador? I remember a time when Marines were attacked in Berlin and Gaddafi heard about it in Libya.
It doesn't seem yet that this president is holding those responsible to the actions that have been that they've done. And you know, we've seen this. We've had a briefing last week, a so-called top secret briefing with the Secretary of State. To me, it seemed more like either a cover-up or it was incompetence on the part of this administration to get to the bottom of this, because they were not really forthcoming with the members of the Senate.
A cover-up. You stand by that?
Oh, well, I do. You look what Secretary Rice had to say. She came out with information that, it was the video. That this was just something that got out of hand. People don't show up for a demonstration with rocket launchers for grenades and the kind of heavy weaponry bill that people showed up with in Libya at that embassy. This was on 9/11. This was coordinated. I believe it was premeditated, planned. I don't know if it was weeks or months in advance, but it was aimed at the United States on the anniversary of September 11th.
We'll see how many answers we get tomorrow. John Barrasso, thank you for your time today. Senator,
thank you.
Thanks. All right.